Hello and welcome to the How Could You Forget podcast, a podcast where we learn about a topic that maybe you've forgotten about, never heard of, or it's just simply too good to forget.
Not gonna introduce us? What are we, chop liver?
These are my two chopped liver hosts, Lexi and Eric, and I'm your host for today, Gurdon. Today I'm going to be telling these two fine folks, as well as yourself, about the luckiest fool in history.
Oh, Eric on web fishing. He just won a bunch of money gambling.
Yeah.
For context to the listeners, literally right before this, I gambled a bunch of money and then I made more than double of it back, which goes to show that gambling always works.
Gambling always
In a
pays.
In a
It
game.
always pays off.
For in-game currency. This is not a joke.
You can only lose one of your houses. You can win infinite houses. Speaking of
Got the right idea.
speaking of
Anyway.
gambling and being extremely lucky, though,
Wait, did you
today-
just say the luckiest guy ever or the luckiest event ever?
the luckiest fool in history.
Oh, the luckiest fool. Okay.
Because this
Ooh.
guy is dumb as a box of rocks,
Or
but
let's say,
he's
is he a
funny.
jester?
No, he is not a jester, but I can't call it the luckiest in history because then the video will get demonetized.
True.
So,
True.
Right, that's not the word.
yep, the word
Probably.
will
Yeah,
get you
the
either
words
demonetized.
Still get you demonetized.
Yeah.
God.
Or like,
Dang,
well,
all
no,
right.
it doesn't get you demonetized.
It
I
just
think
doesn't
it like,
throw you into the algorithm.
yeah.
Oh. Okay.
So
But-
that sucks, huh?
Cringe. Anyway.
Cringe,
Go on.
unbased. Today I'm going to be talking about Lord, and I use Lord as a
Like
not
the royal
meaningful.
title.
No,
Oh,
'cause he's
okay.
not a
All right.
royal at all. It is just the word Lord Timothy Dexter, who was an American businessman from early American colonial times that might have had the longest, strangest string of luck and idiotic choices that I have ever seen that somehow didn't blow up in his face of anything that I have ever seen. So just crazy luck, and he should have lost every single cent to his name multiple times, but he never did. So Timothy Dexter, as he was born in early American colonial times in the province of Massachusetts Bay before the American Revolution in 1747. And for those that have forgotten, or if you're Canadian like the guy in the call right now, this is about 30 years before the American Revolution. So
All right.
Oh.
Timothy didn't have a very notable childhood. There's not much besides the fact that he was born an average poor son of an Irish-American immigrant in the New World. And like most in those days, he had very little schooling before dropping out of school at the age of 8, where eventually he went to work as a farmhand at the age of 8.
Oh, that
And
makes
then-
total sense. That was like every kid ever in that
That's
era.
every single child.
Genuinely,
in those
yeah. They were
times.
like, "Oh, you learned to read a little bit. Oh, okay, yeah. Now you can go."
No, I didn't say he
enough.
learned to read.
Paul the
So
Fields.
this
No,
will
I-
become important later.
Okay, no, I'm not. Okay,
Oh no.
weird. But I'm not saying Lord Timothy Dexter. I'm saying like in general, they'd be like, "Oh, can you do 2 + 2? Great. Okay, now go work on the farm." Like,
We need hands for the farm. Yes, absolutely. And so eventually, whenever Timothy reached his teenage years, he ended up becoming an apprentice to a tanner and worked so hard that his master gave him the most American titled thing I have ever heard in my life. A freedom suit.
who?
A
what?
freedom suit. I swear.
What does that entail?
I swear these are real. And honestly, they're a bit tricky to look up because freedom suits are also a thing in America whenever slaves would sue their owners and slave masters to try to get their freedom.
Oh, like a lawsuit, but a freedom suit.
That's a freedom lawsuit. So if you look
Oh
up
my
freedom
God.
suit, you get that. But this dude got what was a suit that was a contract, like you finished your contract of being an apprentice and your master would give you literally a suit as though like, congratulations, you've done it. And
Oh, to
these
show
are
that you were no longer an apprentice and you could work on your own.
absolutely not the only part, but the funniest part about that is there is only one singular surviving freedom suit in the entire world is how like rare
Wow.
and dumb this was to find.
Where's that at?
It is actually, I wrote that down even just for you. It is currently at the Smithsonian. but it is not on display because, again, there's only one and they don't want it to get any more messed up than it currently is.
Oh my god.
But a freedom suit were usually cotton suits that were yellowish tan and made of nankeen cotton. So those originally nankeen cotton, I also had to do research on this, was originally from China, so you can expect that it would be extremely expensive.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
but
so it's almost like a gift though too of like
it
you
very
are
much
now
was
on your own.
Absolutely. And it very much was a gift, especially for Timothy Dexter, which by two sources that I found, he received a, quote, good freedom suit, which I think that if you were just a crappy apprentice, they would still just give you a freedom suit for the sake of here's a freedom suit. But he actively received a, quote, good one, at least according to novelist John P. Marquand. So, but yes, there is only currently one of these. And so what did Timothy do once he reached the end of his apprenticeship and got this freedom suit? Well, he sold it immediately.
Oh,
Okay.
Talking about I'm kidding, not gambling.
he went through an entire apprenticeship to get a suit to just be like, nah.
Yes, and he sold this freedom suit for $8.20 in 1767. And would either of you like to guess how much that is worth today?
Oh gosh.
Sounds like quite a bit.
I mean, I'd imagine if it's the only one left, I imagine it'd be quite a bit. I'm not.
Oh no, it's not
sure
the
how
only
much-
one left. This was a thing that a lot of apprentices had, but there's only one surviving one as of today, is what I was saying.
Okay. All right. Gosh, I don't even know because I don't even.
You don't even live in America.
Yeah. Well,
That's your
yeah,
excuse.
sure. That's part of it. That's what works for me. I mean, what are you thinking, Lexi?
I mean, I'm thinking back and I'm like, I know, like, even just back in, like, the 1950s and 60s, like, people were making, like, $12 to, like, $15, like, a week, I think. Like, that's how much, and I could be wrong on that, but, like, just the idea of, like, inflation has gotten, like, crazy. So, damn, I don't know, like, $500,000? Like...
For $8.20.
Yeah, back in 17, whatever the heck.
67. Yes.
Yeah.
Eric,
I mean,
all right, Lexi.
I think it could be. I think it was expensive, but watch it be like, oh no, psych, it was $10. Like I don't know.
That would be funny.
I'm gonna say okay. So it was $8.20 when it first happened, right?
Yes, in 1767.
Okay, 17. I'm gonna Yeah, I feel like it wouldn't be that. I'm gonna say 100,000.
100,000.
That's
All
probably
right.
a better guess, to be
Yeah.
honest.
$500,000.
Yeah, I am high.
It did, yeah. I mean, we'll see. And before it's actually like $50.
It is 340 United States dollars.
Oh my god.
That's why
There
I
was a
wanted to
reason I
ask.
almost failed my accounting class. There was a reason.
Financial
Listen,
There's a
here's
reason
the
I almost
thing,
did not
though.
pass my high school accounting.
Here's the thing, though. Like,
Also, so just to give you an outlook, so you have to make yourself up one. Whenever you look up inflation calculators, most of them only go back to 1916 because then it gets a
That's
lot
what I
more
was
difficult and
thinking.
stuff like that. As well as, like, in 1767, it also would not have been the United States dollar because, as we'll come to find out even in this very specific story, the US dollar wasn't even the US dollar up until roughly like the 1790s. So, and that it wasn't
it
even
was
a
probably
dollar.
just
it was
gold.
Yeah, it was just coins and pounds and stuff like that. So, but he took this money. So you guys did a good job, honestly. Again, that was very much a trick question, but I just wanted to ask it to you all. But Timothy moved to Newburyport, Massachusetts with this $8.20. And I don't know how, or at least a lot of these records don't know how or why exactly. Maybe Timothy was very attractive or a very smooth talker. But after moving there in 1767, he ended up marrying a widow by the name of Elizabeth Frothingham, who happened to have just come into quite
bad
some money.
last name.
Frothingham?
Yeah, like fraud, like as in committing fraud.
No.
Oh, yeah,
Frot-
that's what you meant.
Oh,
Fro-
fraud.
It's spelled fro as in like an afro thing ham. So Frothingham.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought you said fraud, and I'm like,
Ah,
whoa.
Frothingham.
Yeah. I was surprised for a different reason.
Yes,
but-
for frauding, yes.
He got married.
Yes. I don't want to say it, but
I
yeah.
said it. But
There you go. Thank you.
But Elizabeth, who I'll just call her Elizabeth going forward, happened to have come into quite some money because, as I said, she was a widow. So after then being able to take the money and then remarrying, enough to where Timothy and her could purchase some land together, and then Timothy began to sell tan goods after, again, he was an apprentice, out of the house.
I'm shocked the money was left to her back in the day.
Well, they had, I think technically, remember reading, maybe she had between 2 and 4 children. But
oh wow,
I don't know. Again, maybe it was to take care of the kids, or who knows. But now, up to this point, it's a pretty average life so far, right? Like if you ask me. But now we add in the American Revolution. So after the American Revolution, upper class and middle class folks across the colonies would purchase Continental Congress notes from returning soldiers. With actual dollars to help the soldiers returning from war as an act of charity. This is just a known thing. This is not like something like
sounds like the beginning of war bonds.
Kind of, yeah.
Like a primitive war bond.
Yeah. I'll describe it here for you shortly. You see, during the American Revolution, the Continental Congress was issuing currency like crazy to pay the soldiers that had fought for the Revolution and to separate themselves from England. And so all the money that they would have been like, oh, we're going to be printing this money and people please use it and stuff like that. Like they overprinted it like crazy. And they printed every denomination that you could think of. Like they had a 1/6 dollar note, a $55 note, and an $80 note. Like they just went crazy. So
they just rolled some dice and they were like, yeah,
this
cool,
number.
That's our currency.
they looked at a tree.
Maybe that was symbolic of like what a certain thing cost. Like maybe milk was like 1/6 the dollar or whatever, and so they're like, here you go, here's your milk dollar, basically, or whatever.
I can see the logic behind that. Yeah,
that makes sense to me. Again, I wasn't alive at the time. These were only usable for a few years.
Thank God.
So.
I mean, this is the same country that made the imperial system, so I don't trust. Like, I don't follow the logic of any of their measuring.
I like my donuts per bald eagle.
You still be using the imperial system sometimes, you Canadian.
It's just because you rub off on me.
Exactly.
I don't like it.
The metric system is totally better. It's just I'm past the point of being able to learn it competently, so I get mad.
That's fine.
Fair.
But yeah, that's just fair. But because they were printing so much of these continental notes, as well as the British apparently were counterfeiting the bills and spreading them throughout the colonies to make the money even more worthless, they had depreciated from being worth about 1/5 of their actual value in 1778 down to 1/40th of their value in 1780 is how much that they depreciated. Man, that's some
Deutschmark numbers there. Wow.
Absolutely it was, yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then by 1781, literally just 1 year later, they were considered so worthless that they ceased to be traded as a currency. So even worth less than worthless.
Hey, yo, the original NFTs.
They left circulation. You're absolutely right, Lexi. But the United States had been paying their soldiers with this actually worthless piece of paper for a few years. And so when the soldiers would come back expecting to be able to buy things with this, they couldn't at all. So, like I was saying, a bunch of middle-class folks and some upper-class folks would purchase these Continental Congress notes basically as an act of charity. So like, oh, hey, I'll buy a few of your notes so that way you can get back on your feet. Like, thank you for...
Right, they were just being nice. Like,
yes,
you were a soldier, and so I'll give you these goods, and I'm basically taking it at a loss.
Absolutely. And everybody expected it to be a loss. This is very, very important. Everybody expected that we buy these, like, here you go, here's $10. Thank you very much for your service. That's, again, the equivalent.
Like if somebody gave me 10 Monopoly dollars, and I was just like, okay, sure. Like, here you go.
Yeah, like, thank you very much again. But Timothy, as we've talked about, decided that he was going to buy some notes as a way to fit in with the upper class. Because but there's a slight issue with that because Timothy didn't know why the other folks were actually buying these. He thought that just because a bunch of rich people around him were doing it, it must be to make money or that it was a good business opportunity.
Oh, no.
It was not, though, because as you just saw, this is basically charity. You are buying something worthless for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So, now, after this, the government stopped issuing these, and according to the what happened in 1790s, whenever the Congress and all these things happened, after people bought these, there was no expectations of these ever becoming anything important, right? So Timothy took almost all of the money him and his wife had been saving up for years from marrying a rich guy and working and like doing the entire tannery business, and spent almost every single dollar that they had to their name on these useless dollars.
No.
Bro, these are just like NFTs. Oh my God.
It was not only a bad business decision, it wasn't a business decision at all. It was literally throwing all your money away. So,
oh, yeah. Timothy's the original crypto bro.
Wow.
Yes. So, Timothy does this, and lo and behold, Timothy's luck begins to kick in. Because after the war, the U.S. Constitution made it so that the Continental notes could be traded in for treasury bonds at 1% the value of the note. So as an example, if you just need some quick math, either you or the viewers, if you were Timothy Dexter and you had purchased, say, $100,000 of these notes, we don't know how many he bought. There's no record about how many he purchased. He could trade in that for $1,000 worth of treasury bonds. So Timothy went from pretty well off to having just a bunch of useless paper and not having a cent to his name to being quite an immensely wealthy man pretty quickly. And it got to his head rather quickly. We're going to find out. Because Timothy was neighbors with some very rich folks, such as Paul Revere, which is very weird to hear. Yeah. And Timothy also kind of sucked at conversations and at actually being a member of society. Like, imagine the Joker, jokes like that are there for sure. But all he wanted to do, though, even though he could just not keep a conversation going, he could not speak. He had told horrible jokes, everything bad about him. All he wanted to do was fit in with his new rich and famous friends. But no matter what he did, they did not like him. By his own people around him, he was described as, quote, he had crude rhetoric, distasteful nature, and he couldn't keep his mouth shut.
Oh, man.
So his neighbors, the same ones who accidentally made him rich off of buying these useless paper notes, at the same time also told him to purchase a large number of British pounds and French francs, which at the time were also useless, but then also multiplied in value shortly after once all these things went into effect.
Okay, so they were trying to get him and be like, buy all this useless crap. And he's like, oh my God, sure. And then they were like, oh my God.
Lexi, you're picking up on what is about to happen about 5 to 6 times. So, just to show you how much that Timothy wanted to be accepted by his neighbors, but that they just wouldn't let him in and just wouldn't hang out with him, he started to make petitions that were almost impossible to read because, like I said earlier, Timothy was illiterate, to the Newburyport government asking to be made a member of public office because he was so well off with money and stuff like that. And in one way or another, they ignored him because, A, they couldn't read most of his things, and also he just kept sending them these, like, petitions asking for a role. And so Newburyport, being so sick of him annoying them and wasting their time, they decided to give him the title of Informer of Deer, which kind of sounds at least like a little bit like, oh, hey, this is a title, right?
Like deer the animal?
Yes, the deer the animal.
Oh, okay.
Now this already sounds like, again, maybe you're just counting deer or something like that. The best part about it is there are no deer in Newburyport, so they literally gave him a useless title.
Oh my God.
Okay.
They just hated him, so they gave him a useless title just to shut him up, basically.
Oh my God. Did he know this?
No, he was over the moon to apparently get this title of like, yes, I'm the informer of deer and stuff like that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Bless his soul. Oh my God.
Bless his soul. But eventually,
I'd feel bad for him if he wasn't loaded.
Lexi, don't worry, he's about to get more loaded.
Oh my God.
Because shortly after coming to all the wealth that he got from these notes, he ended up purchasing multiple ships and launched a trading company, was how much money that he had.
Oh my God.
Yes. And so he attempted to sell and trade things to make even more money. So his neighbors and wealthy compatriots would at least like see him as like, oh, hey, at least he has good money and maybe we'll invite him to these parties and stuff like that. But they just
like
never
he's actually in a profession.
Yes, but just that's not what happened at all. So apparently his neighbors would tell him of, oh, I'm about to do this deal, or, oh, Timothy, you should do this. Like, one of the examples is one of his neighbors told him to sell warming pans, which, if you don't know what those are flat brass pans with long handles that they would use to keep beds warm in the cold winters of New England. So it's basically just this, like...
Oh, interesting.
So they would stick that in their bed to keep it warm. And his neighbors told...
Was that a fire hazard?
Nah, it's fine. They didn't have... There's no such thing as fire hazards.
Yeah, fire didn't exist until the 1800s, actually.
Yes. But he was told to sell these to the West Indies. And if you don't know what the West Indies are, those are just basically the Caribbean. So
right, where it's warm and humid all the time.
It's the only two things the Caribbean's known for at this time were that it was literally warm and hot year-round, and that they made molasses. Those are the only two things.
Oh my goodness.
And his neighbors were like, you should go sell these warming pans down there. You'll make a killing. And he goes, oh, really? Cool. So what does he do? He goes out and buys 42,000 warming pans.
How did he even get that many back then?
Lexi,
how much did they cost?
Lexi,
how did he get that?
When I tell you he had a lot of money. He had a lot of money.
Did he wait for these to be made or something?
I don't know that. Again, there's not much about it specifically how he got these warming pans, just that there were at least 42,000. I don't know how they got the at least, but there were at least 42,000 warming pans.
I'm really glad we're talking about another person who is the physical representation of my intrusive thoughts. You know what I mean?
Oh, I should do
I feel
this.
represented.
Buys 42,000 warming pans.
I was like, yo, this podcast gave me an idea. And I just run out to freaking Walmart.
I'm going to warm up my bed. Just start a house fire.
Let's go.
Well, that's the thing that I like. Obviously, nowadays, like, you could order 42,000 of something. Like, it might take you a while, but, like, it's not unheard of, right? Because there's factories and there's also... This was like pre-industrial revolution, so...
So these had to be handmade?
I should say pre-industrial revolution in America, at least.
Yeah.
So, people would have just had to be, like, forging these brass pants. Like, how big are these? If it's for your bed?
Yeah, they're for your bed.
Long.
Yeah, they are very long-handled. I looked up a photo, and I'll send one. If you're watching the video version of this, you can see one on screen right now. But
whoa, that looks so sick.
Whoa, oh my god, it did a flip.
Oh my goodness.
Nice.
So, Timothy Dexter sends his captain and his ships full of these 42,000 warming pans to the West Indies. And then when his ships get there, they obviously didn't need the warming pans. Because why would they need warming pans? But what they did need, apparently, were flat brass pans with long handles that they could use as ladles for their molasses production in the area.
Oh, I knew it was going to have to do with that.
So it's very sad to say that they didn't sell their warming pans, but they did sell a bunch of ladles and returned with a quite positive profit from the venture.
Okay, so how did they make the ladles? Did they use the handles of the pans?
Well, the pans at the tip have at least a scoop, so they probably just took something off, or they just told them, "Oh, hey, these are American ladles" or something. Like, I don't know what the captain said.
I need to see a picture of this so I can
improvise,
visualize
adapt,
this.
overcome.
You can just look up warming pan, and they just look like a spoon, basically. But Lexi, while you're looking that up,
pan. Oh, see, I thought a warming pan was like a. Oh, this is totally different than I thought. I thought it was going to be like a cooking sheet.
No, it's not. It's not like a pan like that. It's like
it's like
just
a pan, like a cook pan.
Yeah, like a cooking pan. But then they would just heat it up and put, I think, coals or something in it to just keep it warm. I don't know what the hell they did. I'm not from colonial times. But
okay,
Lexi,
yeah, I could see how you could use that as a ladle.
Yeah, but Lexi, if you thought that trying to sell warming pans in the West Indies were hard, another one of his neighbors who didn't like him told him he should try to sell wool mittens in the area because they might need them to protect their hands. And so what did he do? He loaded up another boat full of wool mittens to the same place.
They're going to need them.
And when they got there, apparently some Asian traders in the area and merchants purchased their whole stock and then sold those mittens to Siberia. And so they came back with even more money.
Let's go.
What's up, Lexi? How are you doing?
That's amazing. All these people are like, this dude, Timothy, we can't get him out of here. And they're like, oh, I know what we can do. We can tell him stupid ideas. And he just comes back richer and richer. And then they're
Dude
like,
has plot armor.
why
He
didn't...
has plot armor.
Yeah, why didn't we do this?
Oh, it's so funny because you can tell his neighbors hate him more and more every time because they keep coming up with more outlandish ideas.
Right.
Like, and these guys are probably sitting there like, oh, thank goodness we're about to get rid of Tim. He just bought 42,000 of these warming pans. What is he going to do with the... What do you mean he sold them all?
Oh my god. He just emerges on this giant ship with all this gold on it. It's like Captain Jack Sparrow, just all of the treasure on there.
Absolutely. But if you need another hand-based sale, his other neighbor, just one of them again, told him that he could sell gloves. I'm assuming leather gloves. They just said gloves in the sources that I found, to the South Sea Islands, which are essentially Polynesia. And when the boats got there, all of their gloves were purchased by Portuguese traders on their way to China, and they came back again with a massive profit.
Oh my god.
Now, Lexi and Eric, you can see why I call this the luckiest fool in history, because he just keeps, I can't stop winning.
keeps winning.
I can't stop winning.
But
Oh my god.
we were talking about gambling earlier. I feel like he would he'd win like every time.
you're right, Eric. I have another example of how he would.
No.
Okay, how old is he right now? Does it say? Like, do they chronicle this over time, or is this just every instance he's had of like solid luck?
They didn't really chronicle the time. The time is, I will just spoil it more towards the end. When he wrote a book, again, he's illiterate. Then they
What?
started.
Okay.
When he wrote a book, then they kind of chronicled it a little bit more, and then the house that he had, they chronicled a bit, but they didn't chronicle each and every one of the sales, because, I mean, if you expect, oh, we told this idiot to go sell
Yeah,
some...
the neighbors would not be like, "Dear diary, today I told my neighbor." Yeah.
But, so, yeah, he ended up selling those gloves, but the one that really a lot of people end up talking about, because it is genuinely one of the best strings of luck that you have ever heard, is... some of his, quote, friends, his neighbors, told Timothy to go sell coal to Newcastle, England. Which, if you're like me
what?
and don't know what Newcastle is famous for, it's famous for being a coal mining town. So why would you need to sell coal to a literal coal mine?
Okay, but does this have
All
to do with
right.
the Industrial Revolution right now?
I mean, that might have been it, but something a little bit more pressing happened. Because when he got there, the town was currently on strike for all their miners. And so...
Oh. You're kidding.
So this man gets a boat full of coal and ships it to a town, a literal coal mine. And seconds before he rolls into town, we're going on strike. And then this boat just comes up, coal for sale.
He said, "Forget y'all unions.
Let's go.
Forget your unions. Buy from me."
Buy from me. And so not only did he make a normal profit that you would expect, but he was able to sell these at a premium because, again, all the people that were
They
going
needed
to
it.
Newcastle to get the coal couldn't get it. So he sold at an even higher rate than expected.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
it's so good. It is so good.
You know, after a
man.
few times, I think if I was his neighbor, I would stop being his op and I would get on that ship with him.
Oh,
Honestly, yeah. If you can't beat him, join him.
Yeah.
Like, he's
I'd
doing
be like,
something
"Hey,
right.
oh, see, I should get a percentage. I'm the one that told you to go sell the bedpans to the
what
West
his
Indies."
neighbor should do is his neighbor should be like, what is the dumbest idea that I can tell somebody to try to bankrupt him? And I'll tell Timothy, but I'll do the same thing at the exact same time. Just
Right.
But
Yeah, yeah. It's like I'll tell Timothy to do it, but then I'll do it like
First.
the day before he does it.
No, I should have had like a finder's fee or an idea fee of like, "Hey, you know, I'm the one that told you to go do that.
hey Tim,
Should
you
get
know,
10%.
your boy hooking you up with them coal facts. Come on. But as we all know, your luck has to run out, right?
You die."
But luckily that didn't happen to Timothy. He can't stop winning. So,
Oh my gosh.
All
so
right.
Timothy was tipped off to sell Bibles to the East Indies. And again, the West Indies are the Caribbean. The East Indies, an area that is not known for their ties to Christianity and is mostly Buddhist, Hindu, and Islamic. It's like India, Vietnam, and that area is what the East Indies are. So he ships all these Bibles over there, but when the ships have arrived, you can guess what happened. He sold them because a bunch of missionaries in the area apparently just ran out of Bibles and they needed a fresh supply of
No way.
and so they bought all the Bibles from the ship.
All the
The missionaries ran out of Bibles.
We're out of Bibles. What are we going to...
And they were like, this is a sign from God. All praise Timothy.
Absolutely.
sign from God. Some dude just randomly shows up in a place where they don't need Bibles to sell Bibles.
To sell Bibles, and he got them.
That's probably why they bought them all, because they thought it was a sign.
Exactly.
Oh, my good Lord.
Oh, my God.
So, now this is my personal favorite, and I have to get 2 seconds of backstory. In Newburyport, apparently there was a stray cat, infestation, or, stray cat, outbreak. And so there's a bunch of stray cats all over Newburyport where Timothy lives. And so Timothy, in the town, they do a vote of what they should do. If they should cull all the cats, or if they should leave them be, or what they should do with them.
If they should do what to the cats?
Cull, which just means kill all the cats. I tried to use a term that wasn't as bad as kill all the cats, Lexi.
Okay, I didn't know what that meant. I thought that, do you gonna rub coal on them to disguise them? I don't know what that means.
Just rubbing Timothy's
Give
coal.
him like a
So they're
charcoal
all
therapy.
black
It's like clean up
cats,
the
so
skin.
people are scared of them or
You can't
something?
find
I don't
them. But
I mean, that probably could work in colonial times.
know.
You know?
Right.
oh, that would
Make all the
absolutely
cats
keep 'em.
It's
look black. Everyone gets suspicious.
post-witch trials, but still.
Yes. But so all these cats, and apparently the town does a vote about what they should do. And literally the vote is 50 votes to cull them, 50 votes to not kill them. So they have to end in a tiebreaker. And so just literally nothing happens to the cats. So what they end up, I don't know why, that was just an important thing that apparently it was exactly the vote. The very next day, Timothy walks through the town and says, "I will purchase all of your stray cats." And everybody's like, sure, what are you going to do with these stray cats? And he's just like, just give me your stray cats. Just catch them, bring them to me, I'll pay you for them. He gets all the stray cats from the town because one of his neighbors
He has
told...
people bring him to his house?
Yes, because one of his neighbors told him to ship stray cats to the West Indies. Because then he would have to herd a bunch of stray cats, sell them, and you're not going to be able to just sell a bunch of stray cats because they're just feral.
Let me guess. The West Indies had a problem with the bubonic plague, so they sent the cats to eat the rats.
Lexi, you were one step off. They just had a horrible rat infestation.
Oh, okay. No bubonic plague? Okay.
No. So whenever this ship full of stray cats rolls up, all the colonials and the locals are like, yes, give us your cats.
Oh.
And yet again, Timothy makes a profit.
My boy keeps winning.
He can't
Let's
stop
go.
winning.
Why didn't the
Don't
town
sleep on him.
finally just partner with this guy? He has an
'Cause he
incredible success
sucked.
rate.
He
Well, I know he
sucks so
sucks,
bad.
but bro, if he's right 99% of the time.
Also, what? Does he just have a shit personality, or
Yes.
is that
Like,
wild?
how
Yes.
bad does he
Oh,
suck?
okay.
We're about to
though?
learn about that shortly.
Yeah, is he like
Oh, mama.
is he
All right.
worth $1 million to suck? You know
I
how
don't
there's
know.
people that are friends with rich people because the rich people will take them to dinner and fly them on a private jet and all that stuff, and they're like, yeah, I don't really like this person, but they're okay enough for me to sit and chill with them because they pay for everything.
Apparently, he was just a horrible drunk and was just a very crap person to be around, basically, is what I'll just give you for that very quick breakdown, right?
Oh, okay.
But I do have to give you one last example of his business prowess. Because after accidentally stumbling into fortune all of these times, you probably will actually start to learn a little bit about money and business. And so according to a bunch of sources, this is considered one of the almost certainly thought out ways of making money that Timothy actually used his head for. So what he did was he started to purchase whalebone, and he would just hold on to it. And people don't know why. I don't know how you even...
literal whale bones?
Yes.
Okay, I wanted to make sure that wasn't slang for something.
Nah, that's not slang. It's just literal whale bones.
It was
But
actually... I don't
for
think I can say it.
cigarettes.
I was going to say, I don't think I can say names of illicit substances on YouTube, so I won't.
Yeah, cigarettes. And that's all you got to say.
True.
But he started buying it and stockpiling
Hey, yo, he got that cotton candy flavored vape.
Yo,
Yes.
can't believe Timothy Dexter invented vaping.
He
That's
did.
crazy.
He's blowing
True.
fat cotton, dude. But Timothy Dexter purchased so much of it that by accounts of this time, he might have made a monopoly and cornered the entire market on the stuff. Is how much whalebone that he purchased.
What did they use that for?
So, Lexi, thank you for asking and reading 5 seconds ahead on my outline. It was
True.
not used very much at all when he purchased it, but right as soon as he purchased it and held on to all of it, apparently in France, they realized that you could make women's corsets out of whale bones.
No way.
Oh.
And
Oh.
so almost every single corset that was made in the late 1700s had to use whalebone. As well as stuff like children's toys and typewriters used whalebone.
Are they bendable enough without snapping?
Yes.
Okay. That makes sense for a corset.
In certain articles that I read about this, whalebone was called the plastic of the 1800s, is how much that he had of this
Whoa.
stuff.
Oh my gosh.
And so, as you can expect, he made an actual massive fortune on this because it is
Yeah, that makes sense.
very, very much so. But now that I've told you about his business dealings, I need to tell you about Timothy's personal life. Because after all this money and success, you're not just going to sit there and squander all this money. You're going to spend it on stuff, right? So Timothy decided that he wanted a better house for his family. And so he bought a large house and he started filling it with whatever the hell he wanted. Just legitimately whatever. He put golden eagles, gold eagle statues just up all over the place.
But did he put up a golden owl?
He did. Oh, nice callback. How could have we forgot the golden owl?
Right.
Oh, no.
But Timothy, he also decided to build 40, or not, he didn't build them himself. He commissioned somebody to paint and create 40 wooden statues of famous men throughout history, such as George Washington and stuff like that. And these were massive wooden statues that he would get made and crafted, and then he would have somebody paint. And then also, just because he's insane, he would also stick them 15 feet up in the air on tall wooden pillars in his front yard. There were these larger-than-life wooden statues of just people like George Washington and I don't know who else. Nixon.
Famous people
yes.
or important people of the time.
Yes, but they would just be out in his front yard on what looked like Roman columns. But then there would just be a statue of a dude on top of these 15 feet in the air around a house. And he had 40 of them. Also, these statues cost an arm and a leg. These statues alone cost double what the house was worth. Because, like I said,
all right,
he's quite
insane. Just sitting on the front. Okay. All right.
He also made one of himself that said, quote, "I am the first in the East, the first in the West, and the greatest philosopher in the Western world." Did I mention that he was illiterate yet?
Wow.
All
right.
I mean,
He also purchased curtains that were owned by the Queen of France and so many other things in the house that were just unnecessary to own at all. He just happened to purchase all of these.
Why did he want the Queen of France's curtains specifically?
I don't know why.
Them?
I just know that it's an important plot point for later. It's
oh God, okay.
It's it's a dumb reason, I'll tell you that right now, but it is very funny. But
can't wait.
Soon enough, though, after purchasing a second house in Chester, New Hampshire, just because he could, he started requesting for people to call him Lord Chester, and when people wouldn't do that, he would pay children a quarter to call him Lord Chester.
Oh my God.
And then he would also pay adults. He would pay for their food and drink for dinner if they called him Lord Chester, as well as how much that he wanted people to call him Lord Chester.
Listen, if he was going to give me money, he's Lord Chester all day, every day. I don't care.
100%.
He Lord Chester.
That's my lord.
So whatever I said earlier about he's, quote, Lord Timothy Dexter, that's why people say, he's not a lord at all, because he bought land in America, just in another state, and went, "Now I'm a lord, call me a lord." And then everybody went, "No, we're not going to call you a lord." But if you're going to have all that money, like I said earlier, you're going to want to do something with it. With money, he indeed did do something with it. He started hiring people that he just found throughout town to be his posse, by the way. He ended up hiring a psychic named Madam Hooper, who had a chicken as a companion that would read his fortune and like read his palm.
I feel like this isn't the weirdest part, so that's why I held my comments.
That's why, I am waiting with bated breath because I know it's going to get weirder.
He hired Jonathan Plummer. I don't know how these know these people's names, by the way. I don't know how they got that, but still, I'm just happy that they got names. Who was a fishmonger, or if you don't know what a fishmonger is, like myself, and had to look it up, that's just somebody who sells raw fish. He hired
that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Nice.
But he hired this fishmonger actively to write poems about his greatness.
What?
He hired the fish salesman to write poems?
To write poems about...
Like, not to be a chef, not to be like, get me the freshest fish that you can find. No, fish expert guy.
Fish
Write
expert.
poems about how cool I am.
Hey, yo, you better be writing these about
Write poems about how awesome Lord Chester is. Okay.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness.
Oh, okay.
And then,
The
as
most
we all
beautiful
know,
fish I've ever laid my eyes on, Lord Chester.
sorry, sir, not best fish, best Lord, right? Can I have money now? Like that's how I expected that it went. But we all have to have a companion, and so Timothy had to have man's best friend by his side at all times, and he got a dog. Most believe a Mexican hairless that he would take wherever he went.
Wait, what kind of dog is that?
It's literally just called
It's a Mexican without hair.
Oh, okay.
It's a Mexican without hair. I mean, he's not wrong.
Yeah.
I'm not going to correct him. I thought it was a Chihuahua. Like I looked up, like, is a Mexican hairless a Chihuahua? It is not.
Yeah, I need a visual for this. Let me.
Don't worry, there's a visual appearing on screen now.
I will put one here, and I'll make it do a 360.
Oh,
Whoa, they look mean.
They do look very mean.
Ooh, I don't like that. They look.
But he
mean.
would take this dog wherever he went while drunk. It was his like drinking companion. So, eventually, after all of this, and also like I said earlier, he was a very big drunkard. He would drink all the time. Like if he was not doing business, he was drinking. Eventually his wife left him because of his infidelity, insanity, and drinking. But because he couldn't divorce him, she literally just moved down the street to a different house.
I mean, I would just take his money, but all right.
And Timothy would tell others that his wife had died, and the woman that they saw roaming around the grounds was actually a ghost.
Oh my god.
No, I mean, did anyone,
Yeah,
is there a
you
record
know
if anyone
my
believed
dead
that?
ex-wife. You mean your living ex-wife? No. That's a ghost.
Catherine's dead.
Yeah.
Oh my
I mean, to be fair,
goodness.
this what? Well, I mean, wait, is this post Salem witch trials? I forget. This is right.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
post Salem witch trials.
Okay, so maybe there's a chance that they don't believe in ghosts. Maybe.
Also, I think they're just like, no, dude.
Sure,
she's
Timothy.
literally
Sure.
living down the street.
That's a
from you.
good point. Yeah, they could literally just walk up to her and be like, "Yo, are you dead?" And she'll be like, "No." And
No.
then that's just it.
What if she's just like, did
Did my
Tim say
ex-husband
that?
give you money? Yes. Okay, sure. Tell him I'm dead.
Yeah, tell him I'm dead. Give me like 5 cents of it, thanks. And speaking of his wife and also being dead, eventually, because Timothy thought that nobody would show up to his funeral, and he didn't trust his neighbors anymore, he decided to fake his own death and throw a fake funeral to see how people would react.
Also, okay, let me just say the fact that he didn't trust his neighbors or whatever. Like, I know that the original intent was for his neighbors to clown on him and make him broke, but they inadvertently made him rich. So I think I would be like in my neighbors' faces every day just to annoy the hell out of them.
Sup, Paul Revere? You
Yeah.
like my new boat?
Well, do you hear that, Paul Revere? That's the sound of the money in my pockets. Like,
Cha-ching!
wow.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness. But like I was saying, he
Can
ended
you
up...
sense the British are coming? All these British pounds that I have in my
Oh my
house.
god.
Okay, sorry.
You're good. But So Timothy went about making an entire, quote, well-ventilated tomb. I don't know what made it well-ventilated, but apparently it needed to be well-ventilated.
Also a tomb in
Yes.
Massachusetts?
Yes,
Roughly?
Massachusetts, yes.
Oh my god.
He had that built for himself. And he hired people to make sure that he could see through slats in boards to watch people during the fake wake. So he hired somebody to do that.
Wait, aren't tombs underground or no? Are they?
I think it means like a tomb building. Like, you know how in cemeteries you have like the larger buildings for people society deemed more important, mostly because of money.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking about like, even in they said Jesus, was in the tomb, and I think it was just like a cave type thing. I don't think it was like a built into the ground. Well, I guess a cave is technically built into the ground, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I got you.
I'm getting into the weeds here. Sorry.
Is the ground if it's above ground but connected to it? That's what we need to know. But but then also he paid a cabinet maker to make him a custom coffin that was apparently so comfortable that he slept in the coffin for 2 weeks for fun because it was so comfortable.
It really is just like me, for real. God.
This is your intrusive thoughts.
Had this man not gotten
I would sleep
rich,
in a coffin for a couple weeks. Why not? It'd be a good refresher, honestly.
Yeah. That's just called death, but yes. What, Alexi? Sorry.
had this man not gotten rich, I don't think they were putting people in asylums quite yet, but he definitely would have gone into an asylum in a different era.
So what I looked up, again, because like this story sounds crazy. I looked up a bunch of stuff, and all reports say that up until he bought all of those useless dollars, that he was an extremely hardworking, respectable man. That literally as soon as he made like a buttload of money off of doing almost like...
Money changes people.
Money changed him. And so then he got wildly more crazy and outlandish the further and further that times went on. But like again, when I said that he got a, quote, good suit, that means that he was a good working like apprentice and like did the best that he could and stuff like that.
That was like a important gift from
his
person
like
he
master.
worked under.
Yeah. But so he had that custom coffin made, and then he told his wife and 2 children so they would be in on it, and then he told some of his friends to spread some like brochures and stuff about the news and basically start whispering news of his death. And so it was spread around, and on the day of his wake, about 3,000 people showed up and threw a banger party.
Oh my goodness.
With the most expensive drinks and refreshments, and everybody was just having a banger of a time.
Wow.
So as I said,
that's brutal.
He went there, and he wanted to, apparently, even though he said he wanted to see how the public reception was going to be, he actively wanted to watch his 2 children, his son and his daughter, and his wife's reaction to his death at the funeral. And so while he was sitting there and he watched his son...
So he didn't tell them that this was fake?
No, he told them, remember, I just said that a little bit earlier, that he let them in on that part. But
I didn't know if he told his kids that.
Yeah, he told his wife and his 2 kids.
Wait, so how would you get the reactions to him being dead if they knew? Or do you mean like the reaction to the reaction?
I don't know, because all of this sounds bonkers every single time I look at it. Like, you guys were asking logical questions.
And you heard about this in a book? Is that what...
I heard about this, yes. Through a book and then just through Twitter talking about random stuff again, because that's where...
Yeah, because there's a plot twist like every 5 minutes. Like, it's crazy to keep up with.
Yeah, it feels like it was just... Yeah,
is there a Timothy Dexter biopic? Like,
there probably he's
there
looking
should
right
be
now.
one if there isn't.
Show Dexter.
Wait, is there one
being
made?
Please tell me there's one being made right now.
Hold on. Timothy Dexter biopic. Let me see.
There's got to be at least a documentary. Bare minimum, there's a documentary.
Would be okay. I haven't seen anything yet, but the Google AI thing is saying that it would be cool, but apparently does not exist yet.
Oh, okay. But my sources... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, there is an autobiographical book Timothy Dexter wrote in 1802. I don't know if you have that brought up, but that exists, apparently.
Yeah,
would be interesting to see what his point of view on this was.
Yes.
Yeah.
But he had... my 3 sources, by the way. The New England Historical Society wrote an article called Timothy Dexter, the Ridiculous Millionaire Who Sold Coals to Newcastle. A Britannica article called Timothy Dexter Biography, A Pickle for the Knowing Ones, Fake Funerals and Facts. And
Pickle.
the Pricenomics wrote an article called The Strange Life of, quote, Lord Timothy Dexter. So those are the three main sources that I use for this. But
Odd. Okay.
yeah. But so at his own wake, he sat there and looked through these fake slats, and he saw his son was drunk off his ass and just was crying and drunk, and he's like, okay, cool, that's like my son. His daughter was apparently just sitting there crying into her hands and just kind of like, oh no. But his wife was smiling the whole time.
Oh my goodness.
And now, this is not funny. I have to say, this next part is not funny. What happens after this next part is funny, but this next part is not funny. When Timothy saw that his wife was smiling during the wake, he snuck out from his hiding place, met her in the kitchen, and caned her so loudly that guests ran in to see what the commotion was.
Oh
Cane
my
her?
gosh.
Like,
Yeah,
he
just
bopped
beat
her with
her.
the cane?
Beat her. Yeah.
Beat her with a cane.
Oh,
yes.
God.
It's really bad. Yeah.
Yes.
Yikes.
That's why I said this part's not funny.
I don't know how I feel about this Timothy Dexter guy.
He's like, I love the. Oh wait, me finding out Timothy Dexter's problematic.
Don't go that far. Like that's what.
Yeah.
No, but really, that is terrible.
So
Jesus.
they run in to see what the heck the loud screaming and beating up of somebody is, right? Only to see the guy that they are at the funeral for, alive, also beating his wife with a cane and smiling.
Oh my goodness.
What
And Timothy Dexter then turns around and urges his guests to continue partying. And so then they go about and just have a party like normal after all of this and ignore the whole thing that just happened and just throw a party.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
No, that wasn't me. That was my ghost.
That was I beat my ghost. I beat my ghost.
Oh
True.
my gosh.
But I didn't mention the son very much, except for that he got drunk at his own dad's fake funeral. But
Right.
his son might have been worse than his dad, but just in a very different way, and he's not nearly 1% as lucky as his dad. Basically, his son, Timothy's son, Samuel, was also a drunk and was basically like that kid in your hometown that would be like, yeah, my dad owns a used car dealership. He lets me drive any car. So Timothy would just let his son, Samuel, just use his boats to just go gambling and just taking them out wherever he needed to and then just using up a lot of the family's money. So he was just not very good. But
I mean, like father, like son.
Yes.
Learned it from the best.
I learned it from you, Dad. But after Samuel tried to work for a while, it failed miserably. And with his mother moving just down the street and the house being a very large house that looks very nice, what did he do as I believe, 20-something-year-old dude in the 1700s? He turned the house into a brothel.
Oh.
Where women would come and go at all times of night. And the curtains...
Okay.
And the curtains that were owned by the queen were, quote, covered in unseemly stains, offensive to sight and smell, end quote.
Oh no.
Oh, no.
Wait, why the curtains?
I knew
Those are
Lexi
on
would...
the wall.
Wait, you mean like... Wait. Yeah, because I guess they would have had the queen's curtains like in the brothel.
Yeah, in the brothel.
Yeah, but why are they? They're not on
Kind
the
of
bed.
king shit, honestly.
Why are they stained? It's not a rug.
Do you think Lord Dexter cares about queen's curtains?
Mike, the queen...
He's got more important things to worry about,
The
like
queen's
selling coal
curtains
to
is
a
absolutely
freaking
euphemism.
mining town.
What's up, Lexi? How you doing?
I'm just, like, it's disgusting regardless, and I'm not gonna get into this because it's YouTube and podcast, and
Yeah,
so
I'm really hoping no
getting
one's eating right now in this part of the
Yeah,
podcast. That
very
They would have
sorry.
laughed so
Also,
hard.
also hope there's no minors listening to this.
They're on strike, Lexi.
Oh, true. Yeah, that's true. That's why he had to sell the coal. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It was like if it was a rug or if it was like a piece of furniture, like a couch, I'd be like, okay, curtains. I just don't.
Yeah, I don't know how
I
crazy
don't
want to
think. I don't want to think about how that happened. I'm good. I'm gonna just pretend he used it as a rug instead and call it a day.
There you go. That's how those unseemly stains, offensive to sight and smell, came in there. There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But eventually, as we all know that Timothy was the wisest person on earth, he decided to write a book. I mentioned that earlier, that he wrote a book.
About how old was he when he wrote the book? Do they know?
Yes. A Pickle for the Knowing Ones is the name of the book. He wrote the book.
What does that even mean?
I don't know, but that's the title of the book.
All right.
A Pickle for the Knowing Ones. He wrote it in 1802. So.
Okay.
And he was born in 47, so.
Yeah, I think that's what you said.
55 years. 55-year-old.
Okay. All right, so at least he's firmly into adulthood.
Yes, well, he very, very, very much is into
Writing this book. Okay.
But he wrote this book, A Pickle for the Knowing Ones, an 8,847 quote word, and I use the word lightly, book, in which Timothy complains about politics, the church, and his wife. And
okay.
And when
old man shakes fist at cloud.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And when I say 8,847 word book, I mean it. Because there was no punctuation in the book whatsoever. It's technically just a bunch of words.
Oh, my goodness.
I just remember he's illiterate.
Yes, yes.
And he wrote the book himself. Oh, no. Oh, no.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, no.
And because,
why didn't he pay somebody to write his book?
Lexi, because he's the wisest philosopher in the Western world.
Exactly.
Right,
he was the first in the
like,
East.
You peasant, write down my thoughts for me, or whatever.
Fishy Jim, or whatever your name is.
Yeah, fishmonger.
Get the fishmonger to write down my musings.
Come monger some words, or whatever.
So, this is kind of the culmination of a bunch of pieces that I think really exemplified Timothy Dexter here. Lord Timothy Dexter. He self-published this masterpiece, and because he was such a gentleman, he would stand on the roadside as any good gentleman would, and he gave out the book for free because he didn't believe in selling the book, because that's not what gentlemen did with their books.
Also, yeah, gentlemen who are already loaded, I guess they don't need to sell their book.
They don't need to, no. And while originally laughed about as a joke, it continued to be laughed about so much that 8 editions of the book needed to be printed.
What?
And from the second edition on, an additional page at the end of the book was added, with 12 lines of punctuation marks stating, and I quote, "The Knowing Ones compilane of my book. The first edition had no stops. I put in a nuff here, and they may peeper and salt it as they please." End quote. So
people are like, "Hey, bro, your book has no punctuation." And he's like, here's a whole page at the end of the book that's punctuation. Take that.
There's a whole page of periods and commas.
Punctuation. This is like, you want punctuation? I'll give you punctuation. And just put them all.
This has to be fake. There's no way.
I have a photo of his book.
No, like, I mean, I believe a crazy man wrote a crazy book, but there's no way.
I believe anything at this point. That's my lord. That's my Lord Chester you're talking about.
That's him.
God.
I can't stop winning. That's my boy.
Oh, no.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, that's beautiful.
It's so good. Also, the best part, this is just from my research. I have a photo of it, of like what is written down. And the first whole row is all commas. The second row is all commas. Third row is all periods. Fourth row is all commas. Fifth row and sixth row are all periods. But then he decided to get fancy with it. And going down, he made like an arrow out of the like exclamation marks. Oh. And then put like a question mark at the bottom. Or put a bunch of question marks at the
goodness.
bottom. I just shared it with the call if they want to look and see.
So don't wait, let me.
Oh my goodness.
They can see how.
That's beautiful. It's such a good design. It's.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh.
I tried to read it like they wrote it.
Okay, so when he's saying that they may pepper and salt it as they please, like, take a comma from this page and put it wherever the heck you need to put it then. Like,
yeah, that's what that means.
oh my gosh.
King shit.
This is
Straight up, like, honestly. This dude's on that CEO mindset.
I don't
Just here,
know.
do the punctuation yourself.
do it yourself.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I love that level of petty, but
It's great.
also, okay.
Gosh,
Hold on, though.
okay.
8 editions of this book. What are in those other editions?
That I could not find out. I just saw that there were 8 editions.
Okay.
So I don't know how printing worked back in the day. I think maybe that was just 8 runs of the book, but I'm not quite sure because
It could also be if there were editions like after his death or something. Maybe the publishing or the printer people came back and were like, "We need to make this actually legible. Like we need to make this."
I
so
hope
it can
it's
be
not
read
legible.
at all.
I really hope it's not legible. Like if
Don't mess with the sacred texts.
if I
Leave
try
them
to
as
buy
they
this
are.
right now, does it come with any of it?
Oh God!
Wait,
Imagine
what
you
is
can
it
just buy this
called?
book
The
on Amazon.
pickle? The
A
pickle?
pickle for the knowing ones. Also,
Wait,
he wrote as though each and every single thing was a letter. He addressed his name in every single page.
Oh, you can get it off Amazon for $8.
Project Gutenberg has it on
Yes.
online.
I see that.
Why do I
and
want to
some
buy
of
this
them-
book? Oh gosh.
No, some of them are still bad. Like this is still bad.
There's the preface, which is not written by him at all because there's punctuation after the first 2 words. So that's not him.
Like one of the things he wrote here was,
Lexi has to read it now.
one thing forder. I have been converted upwards 30 years, quite resigned for the day, the great day. I wish the priest knowed as much as I think I do. Their hearts would leap up to glory to be so reader for the time of rejoicing. What?
Okay. So that was story time with Lexi.
Yeah.
You don't have to leave all of that in there. You can even leave like the last sentence because that
We're gonna make
hurt
that a
my
Patreon
brain.
exclusive.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Yeah, if you want to join the Patreon, I'll record myself reading.
Read the
Just
entire
like reading the
book.
entire book.
No. I'll read like maybe 5 minutes of it if you guys want to cringe through it.
But
Oh man.
sadly, a few years after publishing this masterpiece that Lexi just read, the wisest philosopher and businessman on earth passed away quietly on October 26th, 1806. So,
Why do I feel like it
no.
it's actually surprising to me that it went quietly.
yeah,
Surprised there wasn't like some kind of spectacle about it.
that's what the sources...
No, Lord Dexter.
Oh,
He's
no,
dead.
It's Lord Chester. Get it right.
He's broken.
Lord Timothy Chester tomb. I don't know.
But he died, and his estate was split evenly amongst his children and wife. And the statues that he had made and put up around his estate on those 15-foot tall pillars were all knocked down loose by the wind and were sold at fractions of the cost, such as I believe between 50 cents and $5 for these handcrafted things that cost almost double the price of his house.
Oh gosh.
And a final kick in the nads for Lord Timothy Dexter here. His custom-built tomb that he had created was deemed, quote, unsanitary by the city for his burial, and so instead he was buried in some cemetery in the hills of Massachusetts. And that, my two friends, is the life and tale of Lord Timothy Dexter.
Wow.
Gosh, I really wish they were able to bury him like in the tomb.
In the tomb.
That would have been a nice like full circle moment.
Oh, yes.
And I bet everyone celebrated again now that he actually died.
Right.
What if nobody showed up the second time?
It's like a boy who cried wolf situation. It's like, oh,
This
he's
guy's
faking his death
lying.
again. Whatever.
I sent a couple photos I found from someone's blog spot that they lived in this area, and so they were talking about it, and so I don't know photo credit. I don't know who these are, but I found them on someone's blog spot.
Does that say
so
Dexter Lane? Did he name a street after?
it was probably a private road.
Probably.
that was probably made way later on. So
Okay, I just really like the idea of him just like buying a
more
street.
modern day. And then of course the drawing is what the drawing looked like when he had all those statues and stuff.
I mean, it doesn't look terrible.
Yeah.
It's just very weird.
Yeah.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
You
I
could,
mean, he seems like a
Interesting.
very weird person.
you could say that. Probably a couple times even. But yeah, I'm glad I could share with you all this absolutely insane man.
Honestly, I wish this is what. Okay, real talk. I am a big fan. Like I love being on this podcast because I hated history in high school. I did not care about it at all. But if it was this interesting, I would be all over that. Like honestly, maybe I wouldn't have almost failed history.
Yep.
this is just, I don't even have words for this. This is just, like, it's interesting, but I'm also just like, how did this
Just
man
how?
get away with this stuff? Like, oh yeah, I'm almost glad that he wrote a book, because
Yep.
if he just like sold a bunch of weird stuff and then was like, all right, I'm gonna just go off into the mountains and never speak to anybody ever again, like, we would never know. Because like, how many people do that in real life? They make their money and then they're like, I'm gonna go live my life.
I'm gonna go
And
love
then
my
you-
wife, and then they just are never heard of again. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because I mean, like, you know, when rich people make themselves funny to laugh at, you know, it's fun.
Like a lot of rich people are just like, oh, I bought a new house. Like this guy bought a new house and went, now I'm a lord because I bought a house.
I'm a lord. I bought a house. I put like 40 statues, just random people on it.
Like, other than the caning his wife and being a public nuisance when he was drunk, he was kind of relatively unproblematic besides those two major things.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, you know, 90% of the time he was just like a dude doing his own thing and getting stupidly lucky.
Extremely
Right.
admirable.
lucky.
Like, yeah, he put statues out front of his house, but it's like, okay.
Yeah, it's not really hurting anybody. He's just living his
No.
life.
The
I
only
mean,
other
eventually it did start hurting people. But,
the
you know.
only other time is I was trying to find it because I read it one time in one of the articles that I was going through, and then I couldn't find it again. But on one of the statues that he was having transcribed, I believe he was trying to get them to say that, like, all men are created equal. That's like, and then to tell them from the Declaration of Independence. And then when the guy's like, no, that's not from the Declaration of Independence, or maybe he said the Constitution, it's in the Declaration of Independence. I can't remember because I'm dumb. But whichever one that it's actually in, the guy's like, no, it's in this document instead. And Lord Timothy Dexter drew a gun and shot it at him to try to get him to, like, actually write it. And after missing him, the guy went, okay, I'll write it, and just decided to write what Lord Timothy Dexter told him to do.
What?
So,
This man, oh my God.
yeah. Just unhinged. Whatever thought popped in his head, he just did it.
He is just an embodiment of chaos.
Yes.
Like, honestly, he's not even like my intrusive thoughts anymore.
No.
Like, he's just chaos incarnate.
Pure chaos.
Jesus, man.
Absolutely. Yeah. That was Lord Timothy Dexter, and thank you all for listening, and thank you too for joining me, Lexi and Eric. We gotta give a shout out to the patrons and members of Put In Your Social Security for supporting things like this and us coming together and hanging out and learning about some crazy man from the 1700s.
That was one where I had a lot of questions, but I really didn't know where that one was going to go because
Yeah.
it was just so bizarre.
I don't know. Things just kept happening, and they just never
Yeah.
stopped.
No.
It was
Like,
just like an hour.
Other
of
times I'm like, ooh, okay, I'm getting a vibe of where this is going. This one, I just sat back and I'm like, okay, all right.
Yup.
So thank you for taking me on that wild ride there.
Yeah, sometimes stuff just gets so crazy. You just gotta like
You just
sit
accept
back,
it.
enjoy the ride. Yeah, you just gotta accept it. See what
Basically.
happens.
Well, I know that I learned that if I just go buy a random piece of land, I can call myself a lord, and
Only if it's
I
in
can-
Chester, New Hampshire.
I can. Wait.
That's why we're sponsored by established title.
Oh my god.
Oh my gosh, that's what that reminded me of earlier. Oh my gosh.
Thank you all very much for listening.
Thank you. Now get out.
Yeah, now get out.